This is the NBA on 2K Sports. Welcome, fans. Wednesday in the NBA. It's going to be the Charlotte Bobcats up against the Memphis Grizzlies. And with opening tip on the way, let's head out to Memphis to join our broadcast team of Kevin Harlan, Clark Kellogg, and Steve Kerr.
And the players exchanging a few friendly words prior to tip-off, the getting-to-know-you stage of the proceedings. Hello again, everyone. This is Kevin Harlan alongside Clark Kellogg and Steve Kerr. And we're ready to bring you the NBA on 2K Sports. Our starting lineups will look at the matchups here and who we'll see for our starting five for both teams. First, for Charlotte, pairing in the backcourt, it's Walker and Henderson. And playing at the center position, the premier low-post weapon out of Prentice, Mississippi, Big Al Jefferson. Then there's Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and it's Zeller in at the fourth. And for the Grizzlies, Conley and Allen are the guard set. And at the center position, an impressive combination of size and skill, the 7'1" Spaniard, Marc Gasol. Then there's Tayshaun Prince, and it's Randolph in at the power forward position.
Bobcats came out of the gates fast to start the season, won 7 of the first 12. Amazingly, that actually tied their win total from the previous season that had been shortened, and they set a record for a team matching the previous year's win total in the fewest games, but unfortunately it didn't last.
It'll be the Bobcats off the tip. And Walker kicks to Kidd-Gilchrist. Zeller. Nice pass in here by Charlotte. He feeds it to Jefferson. Shot from 16. No good. Gasol with the defensive effort. Well, Clark, as you said, that outstart would quickly vanish as those 7 wins would end up being an entire third of their total wins of the year. Steve, once the meat of the season came around, they just couldn't keep up.
Well, reality always sets in the NBA, Kevin. I mean, when you don't have enough talent, you might get off to a hot start, but it's all going to turn around, and that's exactly what happened with Charlotte. But look, they're getting better. I like some of their young players. They're competing. I think this team has a better future than people realize.
The first one falls.
You know, for a good part of last season, guys, the Grizzlies were in the battle for the third spot in the West along with the Clippers and Nuggets. Eventually, they finished 5th, but it wasn't because they didn't handle Eastern Conference opponents. They cleaned up against that conference.
And Conley drops them both. And back to the Grizzlies against the East. Their style of play really matches up well with the slow-it-down style of many Eastern teams.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Memphis looks like they should be in the East. You know, they have no problem just, banging bodies under the basket, trying to out-rebound you, out-muscle you. And I think you're right, Kevin. That's one of the reasons they were able to go 22-8 against the Eastern Conference. And, the way you see Al Jefferson go to work in the post, you can see that he plays bigger than his actual size. And I think that's because he has really long arms, and he's got a lot of girth about him, so he can create space with his legs and then shoot over the top of the defense with those long arms.
And I think Big Al plays bigger than he is because he's not afraid to go into contact to create a shot. I mean, he knows that even if he is fouled, he can go up and make the shot anyway. I mean, he can play through contact, and that gives you confidence down in the low post.
No good on the second free throw.
Well, Big Al Jefferson was a name that was getting tossed around the trade rumor mill last deadline, and that's something you have to expect when you're as talented as he is with a contract that's set to expire.
Kidd-Gilchrist, Prince with the defensive effort.
That's the kind of defense required when he's got the ball near the hoop. They were right in his face.
That's good. Allen's got his first points of the game.
The only tough part of that basket for him was getting into such good position. The rest of it seemed easy.
And for Al Jefferson, still yet to make an all-star game, somewhat surprising. But it seems like all the time he's often in that conversation.
And he should be. He's a top-tier big man. Ever since his arrival in this league, he's been really good on the low block. Strong and good score, but never quite good enough to get into that all-star game.
Randolph with the ball. Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Hey, Kevin, I had a chance to talk with head coach of the Grizzlies. We talked about the impact players on these two teams, the ones who can take over a game single-handedly. And he told me that Michael Kidd-Gilchrist may already be in that category. He said he's a guy we've got to account for. He's just so relentless. If you're not ready to match his intensity level, he'll make you look bad. And Kevin, he said if they can limit his impact on the game, that will certainly help.
Thanks again, Doris. And both free throws good for Prince.
You know, when you have a season that the Bobcats had last year, it's easy to look at a number of low points, but perhaps the lowest point was being down by 50 points to the Thunder in the game early in the season. And that one's hard to swallow.
Kidd-Gilchrist, no luck.
Well, I hope they start getting warmed up here soon. That's 0 for 4 to this point.
And it's Allen slamming it down.
Tell you what, he can do a lot more damage to that rim than that when he wants to.
And you know, Clark, with the lead they're enjoying, I'm surprised he didn't put a little something extra on that one.
Me too.
Well, I think he did plenty of damage anyway. It was only with one hand, but he threw it down pretty hard.
And as you said, Clark, to be down 50 points to any team really is a low point for a team and could sum up the Bobcat season last year. Just too little offense and, Steve, not enough defense.
How about that combination, Kevin? Too little offense, not enough defense. I think that usually will signify a poor season.
The Grizzlies have looked good at the line tonight. They're perfect in 4 attempts.
And they averaged about 77% from the free throw line a year ago. So this is a solid free throw shooting team.
You know, something you can point to when you're talking about their areas of success last season, free throw shooting.
That's good from Conley.
You know, guys, you look at the roster of this Memphis team, and they have a lot to offer. Size and strength inside, playmakers on the perimeter, and improving an outstanding point guard in Mike Conley Jr., but you have to wonder, have they hit their ceiling?
Good on both. Well, Clark had talked about the Grizzlies don't have a megastar that other teams do to lean on in crunch time. And Steve, you know, they traded the closest thing to that in Rudy Gay last season.
Well, closest thing is right, Kevin. Rudy Gay was not a superstar. He was very, very good, but if he was a true superstar, they would not have moved him. So I think they just felt like they couldn't afford Gay's contract. They wanted to move on and play through their big men, Gasol and Randolph. And I think in the end, probably a wise decision because the team performed very well without Gay anyway.
Bobcats trail by 7. Outside, Walker. There's the pass to Henderson. Back to Walker. Passes to Henderson. 6 on the shot clock. Jacks up a 3. Count the bucket. Henderson's got 5 now.
That is not enough coverage. Got to do better than that defensively. Basically no coverage. I mean, defense did not look very good there. Gerald Henderson coming off his best season, guys. 3-point shooting was one of his weaknesses, and he made a huge leap in that area. Shot around 37% from the arc. Much better than his first 3 seasons.
A fast break now for Charlotte. Henderson with the ball. Walker's shot is off. And the Grizzlies leading by 4. Allen dishes to Gasol. Foul call. Looked like the D didn't get there in time, and he'll shoot free throws. It's on L. Jefferson. Well, going back to Henderson, and then the 3-point shot, despite his improvement, not one he leaned on that heavily.
Well, that's smart, because if you're not a great 3-point shooter, you've got to be very selective. And more often than not, Henderson would shoot the corner 3, but avoid the longer ones. That's the sign of maturity. That's the sign of a player who understands his limitations.
And he knocks down the first one.
You know, guys, the Grizzlies are a bit of a throwback team, and I like their moniker of grit and grind. It really was their identity of toughness and physicality, and I thought that's how they played, and as a result, they had a terrific season.
Looking at who's out there now for the Bobcats. Biombo, he's checked in for Jefferson. Josh McRoberts comes in for Zilla. And Ben Gordon is subbed in for Gerald Henderson. Gasol dropped 2. But Clark, you mentioned the Grizzlies' old-fashioned style of play. There may be some changes in the offing. The new ownership group has made it a focal point to use, Steve, more advanced stats to inform their decision-making analytics.
Well, and what will be interesting, Kevin, is that, most advanced stats and advanced stat gurus will tell you need three-point shooting. This was a very poor three-point shooting club a season ago. So I would expect them to start going more in that direction, but you can't get away from your identity, which is the low-post game of Gasol and Randolph.
And the Grizzlies leading by 4. And Bayless gets to Conley. Feeds it to Davis. Misses from short range. The Bobcats have gone 4 for 9 from the field to start this game off. Ben Gordon on the wing. Pass to Sessions. Outside, Kid Gilchrist. The feed to Sessions. 5 on the clock. And Charlotte again with the bucket. 24 seconds left here in the first quarter. Now Bayless. He hasn't yet put up any points in this one. Outside Conley. And again, Memphis no good. At the end of one, a closely contested game so far. It's the Grizzlies. They lead by 2. Let's take a quick break now, and then it's on to the second quarter after this. Neither team able to build much of a lead up to this point as we start the second quarter. And guys, let's get your take on the scoring breakdown for the Grizzlies.
A lot of time they've been spending at the foul line so far, guys. They'll take those points all game long if they can get them.
And the other thing we're seeing is great ball movement. We're seeing a lot of good offensive execution, ball movement, player movement, setting up assists.
Here is Bayless. He dishes it to Pondexter. In low to Davis. Great D that time from Biyombo.
A lot of people thought Bismack Biyombo would blossom this past season, but he never really made that big jump everybody was hoping for, guys. Was still a shot blocking machine, but seemed to be more or less the same player he was as a rookie.
And he'll shoot free throws here. Clearly fouled on that shot that time. The whistle blowing.
And the defense fouling there to prevent that layup, forcing 2 free throws here.
Nice job that time of attacking the paint and drawing the contact. They'll take that.
First free throw is good. And for Biyombo, the athleticism is there. The Charlotte team raves about his work ethic, but he's still, I think, in a lot of people's minds has a ways to go.
Yeah, especially offensively, Kevin. He's very raw at that end of the floor. Very athletic, good shot blocker and rebounder. But can he develop any kind of feel as an offensive player? That's the question mark for Biyombo.
Tied up with that one.
Coming into last season, the backcourt for Charlotte was full of question marks, but after the way Kemba Walker blossomed and some of the other guys were able to fill in and step up, their backcourt looks a lot better now.
Now here's Allen. He's looking for Prince and finds him into Marcus Gasol. Working on Biyombo. Gasol passes to Allen. Blanketed by the D, fights to the rim for the layup. Allen's got 6 points. And even though the Bobcats would finish near the bottom of the barrel again, they did show that they have some pieces to build around. Steve, not only Walker, but also Michael Kidd Gilchrist as well.
Yeah, and I like Jeffrey Taylor, the young forward from Vanderbilt. They drafted Cody Zeller from Indiana, who looked really good in the summer league and is proving to be a pretty solid player in the NBA. So this is a team that is starting to add some talent to this roster.
Here is Bayless after the made shot from Biyombo. He kicks it to Pondexter. Now the dish to Gasol. And now approaching 2 minutes of action here in the second quarter. Now let's go to Doris Burke. Doris.
Guys, for Dave Yeager, the new Grizzlies head coach, 6 seasons with them as an assistant. Before that, he won 5 titles coaching in the minor leagues. Yeager said, quote, "This is a blue-collar town, and I'm a blue-collar guy. I came up the hard way. I came up through the minor leagues. This is something I've been preparing for a long time. Guys," he says, "he knows how to win. We'll see how he does."
Thanks, Doris. That confidence has certainly served him well. It's stolen. Now here's Sessions, defended by Bayless. There's Gordon. That one off the back iron and out.
Most of the time, that shot will go down. Well, the defenders have to make sure they tag it.
And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2.
Yeah, the referee's all over that one.
No doubt about it. Clearly a foul. Nothing to argue about there.
And an important part of every team's game, a look at the hustle stats for the Bobcats.
When they've come out in attack mode defensively, applying pressure and stealing the ball repeatedly.
You know, another factor in their offense so far has been their ability to convert and score off turnover.
And he makes the first.
The Bobcats, one of the worst teams in the league over the last couple of seasons, actually had the worst winning percentage ever back in 11-12. But they've made a commitment to rebuilding through the draft, and clearly when you do that, there's going to be some pain along the way.
Looking at who's out there now for the Bobcats. Al Jefferson's checked in for Bismack Biyombo, and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist subbed in for Gerald Henderson. Both free throws good from Pondexter. And back to the Bobcats. Steve, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel for him?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. They brought in a new coach in Steve Clifford, who's well regarded. They signed Al Jefferson. So I think they're going to be better. I think they'll win more games, but they're still a ways away from being a playoff team. They've got to continue to build this roster, be patient, and try to put themselves in position to win.
And Sessions kicks to Gordon. Rejected by Bayless. Conley against Sessions. Back to Prince. Dishes it to Davis.
Well, last season on the Raptors, Ed Davis was showing that he could be a solid starter in the league. Bargnani was out and he was filling in well, but he was moved out in the Rudy Gay deal and back to the bench in Memphis.
It's his first trip to the line. That free throw missing for the Bobcats. Biyombo comes in for Josh McRoberts, and it's Henderson for Ben Gordon. Good on the second free throw. Charlotte trailing. There's 1:54 left in the first half. Sessions against Conley. Now here's Sessions. Defense is right there, and that one's good. And for Davis last season, despite a downturn in minutes, you have to be encouraged by his productivity.
Yeah, good field goal percentage, scored at a higher rate. Coming into the league, we knew he could finish at the rim on lobs and putbacks, but the rest of his offensive game was more of a question mark. Seems to be coming around. He's a very skilled player.
Prince's shot is good. Sessions with it. Kicks to Henderson. Pass to Jefferson. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot.
One thing Al Jefferson has worked on through his career is being able to pass better out of the post. And for a guy who draws as much attention as he does on the block, that's a nice asset to have.
And Clark, you mentioned where Al Jefferson is improved. Borderline all-stars. You wonder if Stevie is going to get to the next level.
Well, I think the big thing is he's got to improve defensively because his offense is really played at an all-star level. He's really tough to guard down there. But defensively, he's a little slow guarding pick and roll. But if he continues to work at it and maybe improve a little bit, I think he could get into that all-star game.
The Bobcats making a switch here. Gordon's checked in. Both free throws good for Jefferson.
As you might expect with any team that's as tough as Memphis is defensively at home, they were a real difficult team to deal with. They seemed impossible to score on at times.
And out of bounds as the Bobcats gain possession.
Boy, they couldn't hook up there on what's really a pretty basic pass.
And Memphis making a change here. Gasol's checked in. For Charlotte, they've gone 50% from the floor in the second quarter, 3 of 6. Here's Henderson, and it's blocked by Bayless. They get it back. Gets it to go. Jefferson's got 4 points now in the quarter.
That putback's about as easy as it's going to get. You have to put a body on someone down there.
Well, no box out. That's the result you get right there.
Memphis very strong at home, as you said, Clark. Tied for the 4th best home record in the West. And Steve, as you might guess, it's a big part of why they were able to finish 5th in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no doubt, Kevin. And I think you look at the team, so good defensively, lockdown players at every position. Then you go to the home crowd, which could be really loud. They kind of fed off that team defense. And one of the reasons Memphis ended up with that home court advantage was because of that combination.
First one falls for him.
For the majority of his career, Marc Gasol has been referred to as the other Gasol. But last season, you can make that case that he surpassed his brother Powell in terms of impact on the court.
Josh McRoberts has checked in for Charlotte. Sessions comes in for Gerald Henderson. Gasol hits them both. And Marc Gasol, a little bigger than his older brother Powell, very comfortable at the center position, whereas Powell is a little more of a tweener. They're both obviously so incredibly skilled.
They sure are. I mean, both Gasol's able to play in the high post as passers or jump shooters or down on the low block, and where they can use their array of offensive skills. Pretty impressive to see 2 players like that coming out of the same family.
2 on the clock, and the basket by Gordon. And here is Conley. Lets it go with a 3. No good, trying to beat the buzzer. Second quarter ends in a tight one. Bobcats lead by 3. And coming up after the break, it'll be Damon Bruce breaking down all the highlights from the first half of play.
Now, presented by Sprint.
It's halftime. I'm Damon Bruce. Out at FedEx Forum, the action has been good. The Bobcats have been plugging away. Outstanding bench production. They've gotten a very nice lift, and that's made a huge difference for them on the scoreboard. They've gotten some great minutes out of Gerald Henderson. He's got 7 points and has been very efficient, converting his shots into points with a nice field goal percentage. And for Memphis, they've really been battling. They've been drawing fouls, making their free throws count. That's always a key to success. Tony Allen playing well in the first half. He's got 6 points and also helped out with 2 rebounds. Thanks so much for stopping on by. Third quarter just around the corner, so let's get on back out to Kevin and the crew.
The Sprint Halftime Report, presented by Sprint.